This was filmed on my $5,000 professional camera, and this was filmed on the brand new iPhone 17 Pro Max. It's pretty impressive, but is it worth upgrading? Today, we're gonna be covering the most important upgrades Apple has made to the 17 series, mainly focused on the content creation capabilities. And by the way, this entire video will be shot on the 17 Pro Max. There are a lot of things about these phones that really shocked me, and a few things that Apple themselves didn't really touch on, but will have huge implications for content creators. Don't worry, after this video, you'll know everything you need to know about these new phones. Let's dive in. Okay, first off, sorry for being a bit slow to get this review out. Courtney and I just got married after 13 years of dating, and we went on a honeymoon for a few weeks, but I am back and I've been testing this phone a ton. Without a doubt, the number one thing I love about this new phone is the upgraded selfie camera. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this. The selfie camera has always been an afterthought for me, but this upgrade to the selfie camera changes all of that. By making the sensor behind the camera much larger and making it square, it unlocks a whole new level of quality and convenience. Let's first touch on the quality increase. So check out these two photos. Right off the bat, the 17 looks much better. But if you crop in a ton, it becomes even more evident. The details are much sharper, there's less noise, there's less banding along the light and color gradients. Overall, this contributes to a much more natural and professional looking photo, and the same applies to video. That larger sensor collects so much more light, which for video is really important. In fact, I'm filming this right now on the new selfie camera, and I think it looks really good. It's the first time I've ever felt comfortable using the selfie camera in a YouTube video, and I'd use it in social media, really any type of content. This also gives you the added benefit of seeing yourself while you film. In the past, I'd use the higher quality cameras on the back of the phone and a Bluetooth selfie monitor, but I don't necessarily need that all the time anymore. I will say, for serious content, I will always prioritize that 1x camera on the back of the phone like I'm doing right now, but it is really nice to know that the selfie camera is a viable option. Apple also upgraded the stabilization on the selfie camera so you can film and walk, and it's still gonna look pretty good. But beyond this quality boost for photos and videos, the really cool upgrade comes in the form of convenience thanks to that larger camera sensor being a square instead of a traditional rectangle. This means we can film both vertical and horizontal content without having to rotate the phone. Not only is it a more convenient way to hold your phone, it also solves one major problem with taking horizontal selfie photos and videos. Normally, if you'd want to film horizontally, you'd have to flip the camera horizontally, but the issue is that moves the camera way over here, and now it's very clear that I'm not looking at the camera. I can try to remember and look over here, which will improve the video, but most people just don't do this, and it creates a very awkward look when you're clearly not looking at the camera. With the new square sensor though, we can film horizontally while still holding the phone vertically, which aligns the camera with the screen and makes it much more easy to keep that eye contact, which looks better. This is already a huge improvement, but to make things even better, I would love to see Apple allow us to move that preview video up to the top of the screen, making it even closer to the camera, which will improve eye contact while filming even more. Now, with that larger sensor and wider lens, it also unlocks a much wider field of view option in selfie photos, which is going to be really nice for those group shots. Normally, I would use the ultra-wide camera on the back of the phone to take group selfies, but again, we can't see the frame. We don't know if everyone's actually going to be in the photo, and this camera is so freaking wide that if someone gets caught on the edge of the frame, the distortion from that ultra-wide lens, it's going to make them just look way bigger than they actually are. This does not happen with the new upgraded selfie camera. Now, moving to the back of the phone, we also have some big improvements to talk about. Some of these lenses were changed entirely, which we'll talk about in a second, but first I want to point out that the quality across the board has been improved slightly. Apple claims they improved their image processing pipeline, which is just fancy talk for saying the computer within your phone is now better at making your content look better. Then we have the ultra-wide camera, which unfortunately wasn't changed at all. It's the same 48 megapixel sensor we had in last year's model. This is probably the number one disappointment I had when it came to this year's upgrades. Now, I love the ultra-wide camera. Outdoors with plenty of light, this camera looks fantastic and it's easily my go-to lens. But the issue has always been the size of the sensor. It's much smaller than the sensor in the 1X camera, and it's this small size that means it will really struggle in low light scenarios. Just compare these two videos right here. We have one on the 1X camera and one on the ultra-wide camera. Now, I didn't change the lighting in the room at all, but the ultra-wide camera looks way worse compared to the 1X camera. This is due to that smaller sensor, and it's gonna impact you pretty much every time you take photos or videos where you're not outdoors in perfect broad sunlight. If I could have had one upgrade to the camera system on the 17s, it would have been a larger ultra-wide sensor, which unfortunately we didn't get. Hopefully next year, but we did get a major sensor improvement to another camera on the back of the phone, and that's the telephoto lens. Now, I personally don't use the telephoto lens as much as the ultra-wide, but I am still happy we got an upgrade. On the 16 and earlier, the telephoto camera was basically unusable for anything cinematic. Sure, it would help you zoom in and like read a street sign that was just too far away, but it just looked like crap compared to anything you'd get out of a professional camera with a nice zoom lens. Apple made the sensor behind the telephoto lens on the 17 Pro and Pro Max 56% bigger, which is a huge upgrade. This means it's gonna be much better in low light scenarios with much less of that distracting noise, and with a larger sensor, we also get much more of that natural background blur that everyone loves. Now, on top of increasing the size of the sensor, Apple also changed the telephoto lens from a 5x zoom on the 16 to a 4x zoom on the 17, which I personally am a huge fan of. 4x is just a much more usable and cinematic focal length in my eyes, and thanks to that larger sensor, we can still zoom in to 5 and even 8x while maintaining great quality. I'm really hoping next year we get a similar sensor size boost to that ultra-wide camera, which would literally make this the perfect phone for content creators, but I don't know, fingers crossed that happens. Now, speaking of wishes that were left unfulfilled, another thing we didn't see was an update to that terrible lens flare issue that iPhones are susceptible to. I was hoping for a new anti-reflective lens coating or something like that, but Apple didn't touch on this at all, and after some testing, it does appear that those lens flares got no better. Back to the positives though, Apple did make some changes to the default camera app that I find myself liking a lot. The biggest one is the quick toggle selector for video settings. In the past, you had to cycle through all the frame rates one at a time. If you missed the frame rate you wanted, you had to go all the way through them again. But now you can just tap up here and change the resolution, the frame rates, you can switch into Apple Log, all in one place. We also have this new dual capture mode where you can record the main camera, but also a little overlay with your selfie camera too. It does seem like this is all burnt into one video file, so wherever that selfie camera is on screen, you can't move it after the fact, but I could still see this coming in handy for some people. Now that right there represents the major camera upgrades that will be most relevant to most people. Up next, I want to talk about a few of the advanced changes Apple made to the camera system, and then finally we'll end the video by making some recommendations on who should or should not upgrade to the 17 series. When it comes to the advanced upgrades, the first one that really shocked me was the ability to film in ProRes RAW. Now, ProRes has been available for a few years now, and it is a total game changer, but RAW takes things to a whole new level. I'll try to avoid being overly technical here, but when you film videos, there are a bunch of settings that all cameras have. Things like shutter speed, white balance, ISO, frame rate, and so on. Normally, the default camera app will handle a lot of these settings for you, which is great, it makes life easy. But if you want more creative control over these settings, you could use an app like Blackmagic Camera. This unlocks more control over the settings, except for aperture, which is always fixed on your phone. This is all nice, but once your clip is filmed, these settings are set in stone. You can't change them retroactively, unless you're filming in a RAW format. This actually gives you the ability to change certain settings after filming. So if you accidentally messed up or you just want to test out a different look, you can literally change it after the fact. It's kind of like magic when you experience it for the first time. Now, because these RAW file sizes are so dang huge, your iPhone will force you to record directly to an external SSD to film in RAW. And right now you also need a third-party camera app like Blackmagic Camera or Final Cut Camera to access RAW. I imagine most people will not use this feature, but it is downright insane that this is possible with a phone nowadays. 3 years ago, you'd basically need a $5,000 to $10,000 professional camera setup to get anything close to this, and Now I can do it with a phone in my pocket. Now this next advanced upgrade is actually something I could see a lot of people using, and that is OpenGate. Normal video is 16:9, which is what you're seeing right now, but the sensor in the camera is actually taller than 16:9. It extends above and below. OpenGate allows you to access and use that entire sensor area, meaning your final video will also be taller. This is really great for people who want both horizontal content for YouTube or some other platform, and then vertical content for social media, because that taller clip is easier to crop into each platform. To access this feature, again, you need another third-party app like Blackmagic. You'd want to enable Prores RAW and then select OpenGate. Keep in mind, you'll again need to film directly to an SSD. And if you want my recommendations, you can click the link in the description for our gear guides where I do have my favorite SSDs listed. Also, when you're filming in OpenGate, another thing to know is that the stabilization of your footage will be disabled. So I'd recommend filming on a tripod for the best results. Finally, the last upgrade I want to talk about is the introduction of Apple Log 2, which is again what I'm using to film this video right now. When Apple first added Apple Log to the iPhone 15 Pro and the Pro Max phones, it changed the game. Easily the most impactful upgrade to smartphone cameras in years, in my opinion. It stripped away all of the classic digital over sharpening that most smartphones added to their videos. It increased the dynamic range of the sensor like crazy, and overall it allowed you to capture the best looking videos I had ever seen come out of a phone. Now Apple Log 2 is apparently a new and improved version of their original Log picture profile. Overall, I found it to be definitely an improvement, albeit it's not like a major improvement. I'd say there's a little bit more dynamic range than the original Log, and colors are a bit more vibrant and true to real life. It's definitely going to become my new shooting format. And of course, if you want to learn all about the best settings, the best picture profiles, all the ways to get the most out of this phone and really whatever phone you have, you're going to want to check out 14-Day Smartphone Filmmaker, our online course, but more on that later. But actually, as a free gift here, if you want my Apple Log color preset, which is what you're seeing on screen right now, in the description below, I've got a link where you can download them along with some other helpful editing templates for free. Okay, now who should upgrade to these new phones? I actually think this year it's pretty straightforward. Overall, there are 4 major factors that I think people need to consider. These are Apple Log, the upgraded selfie camera, the new 4x telephoto with a larger sensor, and then the presence of an ultra-wide camera. So let's say you have an iPhone 10 or earlier. You don't have any of these things. So if you love taking photos and videos on your phone, upgrading will absolutely blow your mind. Now, from the iPhone 11 to 14, you do have an ultra-wide camera, but you lack Apple Log, the new selfie camera, and the new telephoto camera. If you're serious about taking videos and learning how to edit, Apple Log by itself justifies upgrading in my eyes. I cannot stress how impressive Apple Log is. But if you don't care for video that much and you don't want to learn how to, edit like a pro, you don't really need to worry about Apple Log. It's just the selfie camera and the upgraded telephoto that could benefit you. So you have to ask yourself, how important are those features? Now, I think the selfie camera applies to literally everyone, which is why I'll be recommending the 17 much more than I did the 16 last year, which I thought was a pretty underwhelming year overall. Now, the telephoto camera, on the other hand, it is great, and it's a huge improvement from last year, but I don't know how much it will really impact most people. Ask yourself, in the past, year, how many times have you used that zoom lens to do anything cinematic, right? It's probably zooming in and reading stuff from far away. And if that's the case, if that's all you did, then you don't need to upgrade. But if you are taking really, impressive photos of animals, if you're filming scenes where that extra long focal length is gonna help you, it's going to look much better on this new camera, and it could be a big reason to upgrade. And then the decision is basically the same for you if you have the 15 Pro or 16 series. You already have Apple Log, it's just that selfie camera and the telephoto. I don't think you're gonna be disappointed if you upgrade from any of those phones because that selfie camera is really nice, but I also don't think you need to upgrade. Like, nobody has to. As always nowadays, these upgrades are relatively incremental. I'm curious what your thoughts are though. Do you think the 17 was a worthwhile improvement? Are you gonna upgrade, or do you think it's, a waste of time? Let me know in the comments below. Now, whether you upgrade or not, if your goal is to get the best quality content with whatever phone you have, you really should check out the 14-Day Smartphone Filmmaker program from contentcreator.com. It doesn't matter what phone you have, if if you don't know how to use it. And in this course, you'll learn the best camera settings, the best apps to use, how to get professional lighting, smooth movements, how to record clear audio, tell powerful stories, and best of all, we teach you how to edit like a pro quickly using the best free apps without spending years learning how. The course only costs $48 for lifetime access, but you get hundreds of training videos that walk you through everything in a simple step-by-step fashion. You get practice exercises with downloadable assets that you can use while you go. We teach you how to film and edit viral social media content, YouTube videos that will blow up your channel, commercials that you can sell to local businesses, travel videos, and so much more. We teach all the major editing apps. You get lifetime access to our private students community where we host weekly live Q&A calls, and anyone who enrolls right now using the link in the description will also get access to 2 bonus programs. 14-day Filmmaker Pro Camera, which will teach you how to get the most out of your DSLR and mirrorless camera, and 1 Week Director, which is a storytelling masterclass. Over 160,000 people have enrolled in this program, and we've got a no questions asked refund policy, so there's literally no risk to join. If you want to learn more, there's a link in the description below, but other than that, thanks so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button and check out these 2 videos on screen right now.